Hey, everybody out there in podcast land. This is your host, Severin Henderson, back again with another episode of Firecast, a Department 3C production. And today I am here with one of my good friends, co-worker to a friend for real, Darryl Walton. Darryl was the first person I met when I came to my assignment. I got assigned to Truck 29, the Engine 96 house, and I came and I knocked on the door because that's what you're supposed to do, come introduce yourself to the firehouse before you actually show up to work. So I made sure it was my shift day. I came, I knocked on the door. Darryl was the first person I met, and he was cool then as he is now, and he just been a real supportive dude, showed me the ropes, told me everything what I needed to know about Chicago, about the West Side, because that's where we was at, all that other good stuff. And like I said, just if it wasn't for him, it's a lot of stuff I wouldn't know and still wouldn't know. So I had to bring him on to talk about how to be, the topic was kind of like a senior man because he was senior to me, but he said, well, I wasn't a senior man, so I can't talk about that. But I'm like, at the same time, you still treated me like cool. And all too often, people come into the fire service and the firehouse and they get treated like the opposite of cool. They get treated like crap. Like they make them do all the crazy stuff and make them jump off the roof upside down and throw water on them and everything else. And D. Walt never did that to me. So I wanted him to give some of his experiences within the service, and then we're just going to chop it up. So without further ado, Darryl, how are you, sir?
I'm great. The privilege and the honor is all mine, though. I'm sitting back, I'm smiling with this big smile on. The accolades, I wanted to make sure you was talking about the same guy that's in the room with you now.
Yeah, talk about you. And then on top of that, went on from 96, got to another super dope spot, putting out fires every which way. Now he promoted and just making his effect known across the department in one way or another. So he doing absolutely great things. But we're not here to talk about tactics and everything. We just here to talk about being cool. So,
well, I don't know if you got the correct subject matter person in
No,
regards to that. It should be natural.
Exactly, it should be natural. I just did a new segment for this show. It's just an advice thing. So I have some emails come in, or I look at other different places to get some advice. And one of the questions was how to make friends and how to just regular. This is a teenager that was affected by the pandemic, and it was just talking about how to be a person pretty much now, because he said, well, mask is off and I don't really know what to do. So was answering questions like that. But like you said, it just takes to do. So before we get into all of that, I do want to ask you how you got to, because it's a great story to me, how you made it over to the West Side from being from the South Side of Chicago.
Well, I actually had no choice to say so in regards to that.
There you go.
Like I said, I started June 1st, 2004. Candidate class, was kind of oblivious to the fire culture at the time. Going through the academy and, going through trials and tribulations in life and just getting adjusted to this new, found career. Did my time in the academy, and a lot of stuff I had to know. I'm a second generation fireman. My dad was a fireman. But my dad was always the type that he was the definition of cool. If I have it, that was the definition of cool, because he never really brought work home, not unless you talked about it. And I know back then they seen probably some more grueling things than what we saw, maybe more fires and things of that nature. And by me going through the academy, I guess they knew the last name, I guess synonymous through there. I was a skinny kid, young, 26 when I came in, and just was ready for a change in my life. And I didn't know anything about the good companies or the bad companies or anything like that. I knew South Side because I was born and raised Inglewood, and I figured, hey, I'm going to go back to the South Side. My dad was always on the South Side. Another classmate of ours, great guy on the job, Clarence Norwood,
Another guy I'm trying to track down. So
yeah, we got to get him in. I think that'd be a very interesting podcast,
Yeah.
at least with me and him, or
yeah,
whatever.
that's what I'm
'cause he's
trying to get
silly.
y'all together. Yes.
Yeah. So, back to where we was at. He kind of knew about the Spot 96, Truck 29. Hey, before the academy was up, and we don't know the assignments and stuff like that. He came like, "Hey, I want to get you guys to go to the West Side. I'm South Side. I'm like, man, I don't want to go out west. Why would I want to go out there? Thought nothing of it. And when it came down to assignments, we were actually getting our assignments. Excuse me. And when they came out, they told me I was going to Engine 96. That was my original assignment. And I didn't know what that was or where that was at. One of the instructors was standing in the back. He said, "Hey, kid, they sending you to the house of hate." And I kind of looked and I said, "Man, what did I do?" I'm like, "Man, what did I do?" And one guy's like, "No, you're going to love it." I knew that on my block that I initially grew up on, we had 3 firefighters on the block.
Okay.
Much older than what I was. My dad was like the senior. We had a guy stayed across the street who was on the job. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name like at the moment. But then we had Boulevard. Boulevard family grew up 3 doors down. He may be about 12 years older than I was. I knew he was on the job. So what I did was gave him a phone call. I said, hey, aren't you on the west side? Yes. Do you know what 96 Truck 29 is? He's like, man, excuse my French. He's like, no shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
no, we got the E on here. You can say whatever you want to say.
He says, no shit. He said, what shift? I said, 3rd shift. He said, man, no shit. That's the shift I'm on. He said, that's the house I'm on. He told me, he said, kid, they did everything right except for put you on that truck. So that was my whole introduction to 96 and the West Side. And then just when people say, hey, what's assignment you going to? Just watching everybody else response, like, oh, yeah, oh, you won, So I'm like, all right, I better start feeling good about this.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing you did. Stopped in on the first day, but I would say just by having him being there on that shift and me reaching out to him, that kind of like gave me some, kind of cut some of the slack off me. Because he's a friend of him and he was a hard worker there that they respected. So, all right, what's up with this guy,
Yeah. So that's the other guy I got to get on. I got to get Boulevard. Got to
Shout out to
Tony
Bull.
Jackson. We got to chase him down. So I'm gonna let him. He said, I don't know what I'm gonna say when I come on there. I'm like, just say whatever.
Make sure you get him to explain Boulevard and where it comes from.
Yes, I am. I'm gonna
Anthony Jackson.
Yes,
Jackson Street is on the west side.
Yep.
Jackson Boulevard. His first fire he had, they said he was like a bull in a china shop, right? And it was on the boulevard, so they start calling him Bull.
Bull. Yeah, I'm with that. So, like I said, I can't wait to get him on here too. We gonna chop it up the exact same way, and then he can tell us more about senior man stuff. But
way more.
But that's such a dope live story because, like you said, I think I'm going back to the South Side. Then you end up going to the West Side. And what I tell people that's not from Chicago, that a lot of my friends and family from back home, the West Side is kind of like where I left from East Cleveland. It was like the exact same type of situation. And it's like to the point where you don't even hear about the West Side. Like when you hear on the national news, even on the local news, you hear about stuff happening on the South Side all the time. It's so rare that you hear about things happening on the West Side. And the West Side is like a different world. And then another thing, it's so many people here that either if they grew up on the South Side, they ain't never been West, or if they grew up out West, they ain't never been South. Is that like the case?
All right. Well, that's like getting into the meat and bones of the city. All right.
Yeah.
Well, they said Chicago is still like one of the most segregated cities still within the U.S., excuse me.
Yep.
Whereas though you have blacks stay here, whites stay there, Chinese here, Mexican, not like New York where it's like a melting pot. You can be in the projects and live next door to somebody that's Chinese or something like that. So a lot of times that makes us a little bit oblivious or ignorant to culture because we're not exposed to it on a daily basis. Like you were saying, you hear more about the South Side and the violence and the this and that. That's a bigger mass of land than what the West Side is.
Right.
What West Side is a smaller demographic. So that's why they have a tendency to pretty much know families and know each other and things of that nature. You be on the West Side and people speak, hey, how you doing? the violence and everything had plagued Chicago, South Side already. And believe, my opinion, it was always by design to put Inglewood, this and that. I lived there, and I didn't really see a lot of things that I heard.
Right.
I knew people that was supposed to be bad, but I knew the good side of them.
Yeah.
So
I still feel like it's like that now. Like I had one of my best buddies like, I never lived there. It's just, I say, what you see on the news is not like what the city is like. At the end of the day, you have to respect people just like any type of situation. There ain't no dude just gonna walk up to me and just, ooh, you look like something, just shoot me or
universal
anything.
laws of life. Respect yourself, respect everything and everybody around you, and you can go and do whatever you want to do. You have enough respect for yourself.
Absolutely.
And if you don't understand what I'm saying, like, if we're in a certain demographic of town, if I'm going to a liquor store and I see a group of guys there, that's not thinking about me. For me to disrespect myself would be to walk across and go the other way or something like that. Then it's like, okay, it's intimidation. It's open season.
Yeah.
But if you, hey, excuse me, guys, excuse me, how y'all doing?
Right,
Excuse me. I'm trying to go and conduct my business. I don't fear you guys, but I'm definitely not trying to start no trouble with you either.
Right.
And I respect your territory or whatever it is I don't want no problems. And you pretty much can move and go wherever. I never been the type that said, oh, I'm from the South Side, I can't mess with the West Side, or I can't mess with the North Side. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people throughout the city, and I always was curious. More than just my neighborhood, I wanted to see what other people my age or demographic, what were they doing?
Yeah.
What did they do for fun? What did they like? So I always explored out. I had different friends because I was going to different schools, or maybe was part of different programs and stuff like that kind of opened me up to the city.
Yeah, that's where I feel like a lot where we clicked at, even just talking to each other in the house, because I was like, I moved here. If I wanted to just stay in one place, I could have stayed home. I could have not went nowhere. But at the same time, you want to go meet different people, be interesting, learn new stuff, because you can't learn anything.
Your network is your net worth.
There you go. Your network is your net. And then especially when you go on all them super up north parties and downtown parties like I know you do. You be hanging out.
I'm older now, so I'm kind of not like a nightlife guy. I'm a good brunch, turn up 8 o'clock and home.
I was just about to say day parties is the thing now. Yeah. I mean, they
found out about this about 3 years ago, and nobody been to church since.
And he's saying that right after Easter. That's probably was the busiest day, and it was still cold outside.
The brunch places did awful yesterday.
Yeah. But so back to the West Side. Like you said, smaller spot. People do speak a little bit more. People, and the other thing I notice is the accents, because sometimes you can hear them, sometimes you can't. But like when people migrated to Chicago from down south, they either went west or south, and they still have like those same strong family ties as family bonds and everything.
True. I don't want to impuke or say like kind of the wrong thing, but a lot of people that I know specifically that's from the West Side, they're descendants of people from like Memphis, Tennessee. Right. Closer there. A lot of South Side, families, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but from just Mississippi. Some area, Jackson or part of Mississippi, and they kind of came south.
Yeah, and like I said, everybody came up here to get jobs and all that other fun stuff.
That may be the accent or something like that, but I really don't look at it no different. I mean, they know how to have fun on each other's side.
Yeah, exactly. They know how to have
West
fun.
Side was always cool with me.
And the West Side ain't did nothing bad to me. I still like the West Side when I get a chance to head over there. Now, another question I wanted to ask you about is, You got over there, you did your thing, you did everything you're supposed to do, then you moved on to somewhere else. You mind telling us about where you went and your new experiences, or you want to save that for another
I like how
time?
You brushed past that big chunk of history because that was 15 years.
I was gonna get to that. That's what I was gonna get to. I was gonna get to that in the similarity between you and Bull, because Bull stayed there for he was there. Yeah, longer than the last candidate was alive. Like the dude was 28, 29. He had been at that spot longer than that kid had been alive and was still showing him stuff. So that was amazing. But I was going to get to that. I just want to...
next firehouse I left, why did I leave, first and foremost?
Yes.
Never was no problem. I was like I became the fresh prince of that house. I was like the young kid, and they knew that, hey, this guy, he go out to party, he know people, he's cool, he's sociable, but he's going to come to work and do what I have to do. After being there so long, I think complacency sets in. And a lot of times you start a plateau out in your career. And if you think you're good or amazing, sometimes you have to, nothing good or amazing ever happen out of comfort. That's the term I like to use. So I just knew that pretty soon I'd probably be getting promoted. I didn't really know a lot of people names on the job. Everybody would be talking about, oh, you know, such and such, and I would always not know because I was only right there. So one of the things, let me get used to, I know I'll probably be a reliever or whatever happens. So let me go and try my skills. So I choose another equally yoked house, pretty much the same firehouse, just on a different side of town. Same demographic, same makeup, no ambulance in the house. I mean, these are the top dogs. So, I tossed and turned about that decision for a little while. But what the thing was, so the house was broke up. 96 out west was broke up into, north side or south side is kind of working in the same house, and we would have details. If you were south of 22nd, you would take the details if you were a South Sider. If it was north of 22nd, North Siders were taken. That was just a courtesy to keep you from driving all the way across the city. So I used to get detailed to this particular house in Roseland, 114th in Michigan, 34 East, 114th, engine 62, truck 27. I actually went there, and I went there first time and caught a fire.
I'm about to say, caught a fire, probably.
Caught a fire.
Excuse
me, like the demographics and how everything rolled in the house. Like, this kind of reminds me of the firehouse there. And I asked me to stay there. Hey, we got another detail there next day. And do you mind staying there at that detail since you're there? I'm like, yeah, I'll stay there. So I sat there like a furlough, and every day it seemed like I caught a fire and, stuff like that. I'm like, man, this is a cool place. And they're not doing all the running around like 96, well, not 96, sorry. Like truck 29, 113 and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, I like the EMS side of the job, and it's job security, but I kind of like the fire side more.
I mean,
that's what I signed up for.
If we gonna be honest, and that's what we being right, that's what mostly guys want to do. So it is what it is. Ain't no problem to that. And truck 27, that's a great truck. And they kind of like out there by themselves on the island. So like they don't got no help really coming to get them and anything else.
That's the beautiful thing about it. That was like a super truck to me.
It is like a super truck.
I know they call truck 20 America's truck. Well, that got to be something. That got to be the universe truck.
Universal truck.
That's America's truck, because you're going from steel district, man, much huge. Like most truck steel districts are larger, but you're basically going from 99 to 139th, the end of the city. You can go as far as Hegwood, you can go as far as 95th and 111th and Pulaski. So I'm like, man, I thought that was huge.
And it is huge, and they just putting in work, going with other companies that don't get a chance to do as much as they do. So they like a different breed of truck, period. So like you said, that's the universe truck. I'm with that. That sounds pretty good. And then like I said, like even if they get in a squad or something, it take the squad forever to get out there. By the time they get out there, y'all
they
done.
Get a block away, and the favorite line,
hold the squad. I hear that all too often. People love saying that.
Hey, it's just a fun poke.
It is. It's all good. But that's it. Like I said, that's a really cool thing that you took your skills that you had on the engine. And then I was thinking about when I first got there, like you usually have to have some time before you go to the roof. And I was like candidate straight out, and they were like, well, we're not going to send you to the roof quite yet. We're going to send Darryl, even though you was detailed from the engine. And we had a fire that day, and you had like, how many roofs was on there? Like 5, 6, 7 roofs?
Like a birthday cake. I called it a birthday cake. I'll never forget it. It's probably about 4 or 5 layers. And I think they had like City of Chicago building departments. I'm not sure exactly, but I think it's on like 3 or 4 times that they can layer a roof or something like that. And this roof right here had been patched, layered, and it was hot that day.
Yep, it was hot that day. And
We went up there. It was a flat, so that was a beautiful thing. I had got broke in by Boulevard, going to the roof and stuff like that. So I guess the thing was about being a candidate. I was assigned to 96, but how I got so much time on truck 29 was due to the fact when I came there first, they were always busy, but they were a first responder company first before they went ALS. And the older guys, Danny Warwick, Tommy Norton, it was some few other cast of characters before the end. I hope I'm not missing no names, but they didn't go to the truck.
Right.
You young, you got there? You going to the truck.
You going to the truck.
Yeah, you going to the truck for that day. I love the truck, okay? They did a little bit more. I got a chance to see a lot and stuff like that. So I guess it was supposed to have been like a punishment or something, but I was like loving it.
Yeah. Right.
So, then one of the things that was the first truck to go ALS in the city of Chicago, Advanced Life Support, for those that don't know what that is. And I was the only EMT. So by me being the only EMT, them guys didn't believe in EMT back then and stuff like that. So they would put me on there because the requirement was to have 2 EMTs on a rig at all time along with a fire paramedic. So that was a shoe-in for me, and I stayed on that truck probably about 5 years and couldn't go back on 96.
Yeah.
So I felt like, hey, I was a part of the truck, you know, but not officially
or anything
like that.
Because when the lieutenant Dan Grosh, when he retired, he got you. You was the only injured guy. He bought a truck 29 hat for him going out, and that was pretty cool too. That was dope.
That let me know that, hey, I earned my stripes pretty much because I was assigned to the engine, but he gave me a truck 29 hat along with all the other guys with the truck 29 hats.
Yeah.
Now,
I was talking about how you treated me when I first came through the door, and you said, reason I treat you like this is because I ain't never want nobody to treat me how some people treated me when I first came on the job. Kind of tell me about that. And like I said, that's the cool part. That's the part that people need to understand. You don't have to treat a dude like shit to make him respect you. If anything, that's going to make him despise you.
All right, so how do I exactly dive into that? I mean, there's tradition that comes along with the job. There's firehouse etiquette that comes along with the job. But then there's a fine line of being a dickhead and not,
There you go. Yeah.
So me coming there, floor of the house was, say, my officer came on in 1973. You had guys that came on in 76, 77. I was born in those years.
Yeah.
So coming there as a kid, a lot of guys in 80, and I didn't understand, like, the floor of the house. A lot of rough guys, salty dogs, that was the image of the house, one of those things. And I just think some people go out their way deliberately to be a dickhead to others, and that's not necessary. Sometimes they just don't understand, and that's just ignorance, I mean, you could go too far. The candidate is a low man. He may get hazed a little bit, and I'm all susceptible to that, right? But sometimes enough is enough, or it goes on too long, and I'm a big reader of energy and matter, and when you go in certain rooms, I know how to read the room, and I can read the energy, and I can read the matter, that, hey, I didn't matter.
I like that. Yeah. I like that. Hey, I didn't matter. I like that.
Yeah, I didn't matter. But I mean, as a candidate, you will be seen more than you will be heard. Yeah. So I didn't try to come in like with a voice, be boisterous or whatever. I wanted to go along with the flow. I wanted to fit in well, but it felt like a constant test where you're under scrutiny. This is a stressful job, but then you're dealing with the stress of, am I doing the right thing?
Yeah,
how do I fit in? Am I doing this? And stuff like that. That's too much.
Yeah,
I would say.
That's what. That's what. Right. That's what I tried to write about in my book. Is about part of the. It's a double-edged sword because on one end, dude, you old as ever, and you still here, and you ain't got to be an a-hole just to be an a-hole. Like you said, be a dickhead just to be a dickhead. And then as a young guy, you have to know how to talk to people and how to approach situations. Like some kids that come on when I was in the academy, you got to tell them and teach them. Like the only older person, they know maybe 3 old people, their dad, their uncle, their grandfather, and that's it. Other than that, they haven't had any interaction with any person that's outside of their family realm. And to learn and how to deal with other people, that's just takes some maneuvering.
That's a lapse in communication.
Yes.
That's what that
because
is.
the generational thing, yeah, like and now I even see like a lot of guys on different social media sites, like those cell phones, they stopping the communication. Guys can't even talk. We don't even watch movies together no more because everybody on their devices all day.
Cell phone is the invention of accessibility to the cell phone is a powerful thing. That's a single-handed killer of fires. And up with the EMS
and
calls.
EMS.
No, it's up with EMS.
No, that's what I'm saying.
People got digital minutes and minutes to spare. Oh, look at that guy. He's slumped over. I'm going to call. He's sitting there. I drove by 2 times. I'm going to call.
Yeah.
So they'll call for that. And then it's to the point where as though I smell smoke. And I'm going to call because it fires in it. It's orange in that window. So you get there now, it's a 1 room or a mattress or something. I can remember before when you had to go back in the house or use the payphone, we would pull up and it would be blowing out of every window.
Yeah, I can believe that. Yeah, because it take that much longer to get it going. So that makes total sense. So tell me kind of the transition now, because you were such a good guy. Well, I'm not saying like you're not a good guy anymore, but
no, I changed.
I'm saying now
Dr.
that you promoted Dr. Evil, right?
Bad lieutenant.
That's what I want to know. I want to know some lieutenant stories because he's a deputy district chief, JB.
Yeah. My man.
And when he said the first thing they teach you when you go to lieutenant school is F the fireman. Just whatever the firemen say, don't believe them, don't trust them, don't do nothing. So now that you're in the position that you just made lieutenant and you knew out here you were leaving, is that the case or is it something different?
I didn't sit in the brainwashing machine for too long. I got a strong mind, and I know how to deal with people. So just having character or leadership abilities and things of that nature. It is different now. Mm-hmm. Being a reliever, I'm in a whole another district now. District I've never been assigned to. A lot of guys don't know me. I don't know them. Mm-hmm. I don't have a problem with my conversation is as limited as your brain can stretch, right? A lot of people's brains don't stretch that far, so they may say I'm quiet or they don't want to engage in a conversation with me. You're part of the family, but it's like, you're not an immediate, you're the cousin visiting for the day to this immediate family, and you're there. So, he's one of us, but, he's not us,
I like that. That makes me think of it different because I always think I'm not scared, but nervous and thinking about getting to that next spot because it's like you got to go around being a substitute teacher. And I know how we used to treat substitute teachers like – we used to tell them, they say, hey, what y'all usually do on Tuesday? We don't do nothing.
but that's when they coming in to be a substitute teacher. That's always a highlight.
Yeah.
When you had a sub, what do naturally you expect? The flow of the day with a sub.
Well, it usually be easy because they don't know too much of what's going on.
Yeah, roll that TV out.
And watch a movie. Exactly.
Right. So I'm not just being funny, but I always, like in that roll call, I say try to break the ice to the guys. And I say, hey, I'm your substitute teacher here for the day. I'm here to make sure the kids don't run with scissors and put their eye out.
Yeah, that's exactly
one of those icebreakers and things like that.
And they're cool with that. Okay.
Your history kind of follows you. So the whole thing is, you might come in the morning, hey, good morning, and you're fresh. Hey, good morning. Mm-hmm. People don't know you. They don't want to speak. Whatever. One of those type of things. And then once the day go on, they get who is this guy? Where is he from? And what's his rep? And all this type of stuff. Yep. Once they go check and they say, oh, this dude was at 96 and he stayed there that long? Then he went to truck 27. Now you want to have a conversation with me. Because guess what? You know people there, or that's something that you always wanted to do. So you might even have some despise. I have guys even say, oh, you're lucky, or who do you know? I didn't know nobody.
That's now who do you know? That's the number one thing. When I got my assignment, they say, who you know? I said, I'm not even from here. I don't know how I'm supposed to know anybody. I said, I'm from out of town.
That's because somebody else drew the short end of the straw.
Yep. Who do you know? And the same thing. I ain't know nobody. I just got lucky. I hit the lottery. They always say you hit the lottery to get the job in the first place. So I guess I hit it twice. That's all.
So excuse me if you hit the lottery. I'm tired of that term. Can
You
we
tired of
bury
it?
that?
You want to bury it?
Because I want to win the real lottery.
Well, yeah. I mean, the real lottery.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, over the course of a career, you can probably make lottery money. But at the beginning, of course, I want that lump sum. Give me that dough so I can go party in Ibiza and go jump off a building.
That's what I thought a
Dubai.
daily. That's what I thought a daily day was when I came on.
That's what you thought of that?
Yeah, daily day. I mean, I was before I was always traveling, doing things. So when I get them 5 days off, I'm booking a flight. I'm gone. I got to go. Critical stress debrief is what I like to call it.
Man, listen, I just
So
had
important.
one. I just had one. I just had a daily, and then I came back from it and had to work another day. And I'm like, ooh, this don't feel right. It's just like I'm supposed to still be off. And I didn't even get to go nowhere. I had a staycation with my kids, and that felt like a flight or a trip. Cause,
It could be a beautiful thing, though.
hey, we live in a town where we have the pleasure of being able to go different places. Like Chicago, a huge city, and being able to get the opportunity to explore it is always a plus to me.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
All right, so one other thing, like before we started recording, you were talking about how some people, they don't necessarily know what they want to do, and then they get the opportunity to get into this job and then can explore a lot other opportunities. Can you speak to me about that, sir?
Yeah, I could speak thoroughly just due to the fact I could use me as a scenario. Graduating, I kind of grew up in like that kind of gray area. So I graduated in 94, 95, around that time. And in school, the computer bubble hadn't hit, you know. And in school, we had vocational shops and things of that nature, like training you more or less to, you know, be an employee. I kind of always had to feel, I don't want to be a welder. I don't want to do this. I don't want to. And I was a jack of all trades, really a master of none. Graduating school in 95, that's when the test was given in 95. And my dad, like I said, he was on a job. He kind of always, hey, take it, you know, explore the option and things of that nature. I'm yeah. But literally, he actually kind of went across the street from his house and kind of got in line and had my mom bring me there to get in line to make sure that I do it.
To make sure you did it, yeah.
To make sure that I did it. So I took the test in 95, and, you know, I didn't understand the testing process. They had this qualified, well qualified. We're going by this last social or this. I'm like, the last digit of my number is 1, so I should be good. No, we starting at 9.
Yeah.
So you had no control over that or the flow of things. 8 years went by. 8 years went by. Kind of forgot all about it, you know, and just was a whole different path, just a whole different direction. And it just seems like, I mean, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, he has a way of working things out because, I mean, I was finna get ready to have a daughter when this happened. Some close friends, some tragic stuff happened to a bunch of friends and locked up and things of that nature. I know I didn't want that for myself. And when this opportunity kind of popped up, I was kind of, no, I was always a skinny kid, like skinny, like, you know, really wasn't into working out or, you know, any of this. You know, people kind of laugh, he's going to be a firefighter, y'all. He think you know, one of those type of things. I'm kind of the type of person, when you tell me I can't do something,
that's when it's time to turn it up.
It's go time right now, you know. So I had I had to do some processing, and I said, hey, this might be the best move for me right now. Let me try it. I want something different for my life. I used to always have like kind of like dreams of like your kid in school. So what do your daddy do? You know, and I never wanted to, you know, my daddy's dead. My daddy's in jail. My daddy's sitting around all day and do nothing.
Please, no.
You know, one of those things. So for the sake of my child, she's 17, finna be 18 now, and she loves what I do.
Yeah.
And that was like one of the contributing factors to say, you know what, I'll give it a try.
Yeah.
And it was a bunch of days in that academy that we did stuff that I didn't think pertained to firefighting, but it was almost like the Karate Kid. Why am I waxing off and waxing off? It's going to make sense when it comes to fight time, you know, but I didn't understand the demographics at the time. And I explored the option, and a lot of days I had to have self-talks to make sure I stay there.
Yeah. I had to have some of those talks with some of my classmates because they like, this dude is yelling at me like ain't nobody yelled at me. I wouldn't piss on him if he was on fire. And I'm like, dude, if you can't take with this person that is employed, and at the end of the day, you can go say whatever about them and maybe they'll get fired or whatever. What you think's gonna happen when it's a person out in the street saying the same stuff to you? Like, so, it you don't understand some of the stuff at the time, but it makes sense.
It all makes sense. It all, what they say, water seeks its own level.
There you go. See,
at some point.
We gonna get you your own podcast. It's gonna happen. You got too many gems to drop, and that was the other point that I was making, because we were talking about how with this particular job you have the opportunity to explore other ventures. You can explore entrepreneurship. You can go into building houses, tearing down houses, painting houses, cutting the grass for houses. True. You can do almost anything with this job. So, and
that's one of the beautiful things about it, because it broadened my horizon. You know, I'm getting off in the morning. It was almost kind of like a self-esteem thing. I see guys getting off and they're putting on their painter's uniform. They're putting on their welding uniform. They're putting on their, this and that. I'm like, man, they like, what do you do? Nothing. At the moment, I didn't know that I was allowed to, or what could I get into. But I always kind of said, man, we're doing one physical labor, manual labor. And I always kind of thought like, I kind of had some bit of sense. I could use my brain. I wanted to figure out a way to use my brain. So even remember I was doing real estate. I mean, I still do the real estate, but I was doing a ticket broker thing. I was doing I had several different ventures that I figured out to be able to derive income. The ticket broker thing was really dope for me. That's what I love doing that, because I can get all the premium tickets to any major plays, concerts, comedy shows, pretty much nationwide. But the Chicago got the tax, the entertainment tax, and it kind of put a damper in it, because I didn't have the big money to be able to buy large volumes of inventory and things like that. But my network, I started going to conferences in Vegas with my free time and, networking with different people and stuff like that. I was doing the concierge thing. Remember, I was doing the so if you wanted 5, 6, 7-star hotels pretty much anywhere, and car service, personal shoppers and stuff like that. Yeah, so I just networked myself in that way and figured out a lane with everything that I could do, but something that I would enjoy doing. Like, I enjoy the firefighter side. I just wanted a life full of enjoyment.
You want to do something else. I mean, just
die empty.
Yeah, you want to at the end of the day, you want to have other skills and other processes, and then this just adds interesting stories if you feel like telling somebody you're a firefighter. Because more times than not, that's not my thing either.
That was the last thing I ever did. Yeah, like I didn't. I love what I do.
What do you do? I work for the city. I work for the government. Something like that.
I would say, where did I start at? I'm a jack of all trades. Well, no, seriously, what do you do for a living? Professionally, I seek out opportunity, I maximize it, and make the most of it.
There you go.
So that just sounds like, hey, I could pretty much do anything. Yeah. If you introduce me to it and it holds my interest, I think I can pick it up.
Yes, that's what's up. So, and that's where this podcast kind of came from. Just trying to think outside of just that. Just, trying to explore the options. So
no, I love it. You called me and I couldn't wait to get here.
Yep, absolutely. So now we gotta recruit some more guests. So
because if I would have bought the peanut gallery with me.
Yeah, that's the one I want.
And cocktails in here too.
But that's gonna be a daytime one, because a daytime and an Uber, because that's what I'm gonna need for that episode. Can't be at night. Yeah. So is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't ask you? Anything you could think of, because we're going to get ready to wrap it up.
In regards to fire service?
No, just period.
Anything that you... where do I see myself going? Or
how about that?
Things? Well, I'm still a short timer, as you can see, so I'm not quite 20 years yet, but I got the first bugle up under my belt, so... I mean, the second one gonna be in the bag. Okay. Most definitely.
Yeah, you're a smart guy.
Might as well get the third one. Get the third one and try to do it in under 25 or 25 years exact.
Yeah, I wish there was a way I could fast forward to that, but
It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
Everything is about time. And the funny thing about it is that it goes fast
Yeah.
because it feels like,
That's
to me, you ask me, probably 8 to 10 years is what I feel like I have on.
Mm-hmm.
But this more 18 as of June 1st, but the day after, that's considered your 19th year.
Yeah. Well, that's an article that I saw somebody else wrote before me, but I'm like, I gotta put my own spin on it. But you gotta appreciate the time. That's something you and Dan Grass told me about when I was there. You gotta appreciate the time you hear while you hear, because everything is constantly changing. So it seemed
True.
like just a couple of months ago we was at the same house. That's literally what it feel like.
Yeah.
And it's been some years, but
Change is inevitable, but that's one of the worst things that you could introduce to firemen.
they hate change.
It's gonna change. It's not gonna stay the same. And if you ask me, like looking at a lot of the new faces, or even going back to your old houses, and you don't know some of these people and stuff like that. It's good when they can be like, "Oh, so you're such and such." And
I heard about you.
That's one of the things that I've been blessed enough to receive. That, oh, you Darryl Walton. Oh man, it's nice to meet you. I heard so much about you.
Yeah.
My first comment, of course, sarcastic. I hope it was good.
Yeah,
Good stuff
that's
or bad
regular
stuff.
Which way did you hear it? So, well, D Walt, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming through. We definitely got to do this again. We got to add the rest of the crew to it. So, but this is just a preview of what's to come. Because, like I said, I'm trying to get Darryl to get his own podcast.
It's in the making. Let's speak it in the universe.
Speak it into existence.
No.
And now it's out there for everybody. It's past the universe. It's going to go to
Let's see.
whatever, infinite, like the aliens. They're going to pick this up and get hip to
Let's
it.
see. But like I said, man, the privilege and honor is all mine. I appreciate you having me out,
Absolutely. Well, thanks for coming.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was another episode of Firecast, Department 3C production. I want to thank my guest, Darryl Walton, for coming through. If anything you need to say or want to say, you can find us in most socials at Department 3C, because even though it's a different podcast name, it's still a Department 3C production. You can find me personally at I Am Sevi. And if you'd like to email the show, our information is info@department3c.com, and the website is www.department3c.com. That being said, everybody have a great rest of your day, night, evening, whatever time you have it. Bye.